All right. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Bite Size Big Brother. Today we're previewing Big Brother Canada season 10 and let's just, get right into it. I'm going to quickly give my first general thoughts on the entire cast and talk about a couple of specific house guests I either really liked or really didn't like. I'm not going to get into every single house guest, but if you have any questions, ask me on Twitter. And then just a couple other things I'm hoping to see this season. So starting off with the entire cast, I feel like we didn't get enough. We only got those 2-minute intro videos, which are very, I guess like manufactured. They're not being their genuine selves. They're trying to sell themselves. So I want to see more of their personalities. And the only thing we got from about or got with that was the like the little 2-minute, not even 2 minutes, like a minute and a half ET videos, which really didn't tell us much. I wish Aiko was still part of them and doing her good like 9-10 minute videos, and she actually talked with the house guests and got to know them well. That would have given me a much better idea, but all we had, maybe it was because of COVID, because I think Carlos was taking over for Aika for a while. And at least we got something, but this year is just like a minute and a half, so there's not a lot to go off of. I still thought it was a decent cast. There wasn't anyone that really stood out to me except for honestly one person that I'll get into in a little bit. But there also wasn't anyone that I really hated, which is good. I think last year there were a couple where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like these people, but I didn't have that feeling this year, so hopefully it's a good cast. I did feel like there's a lot of loud personalities though, and that'll be interesting to see how they mix. I personally don't love when there's too many loud personalities. I'm an introvert. I like quiet people, but it makes for a good show when you have a couple like loud personalities. So we'll see how it works. Some people might rub each other the wrong way. That could lead to some fun drama. Some people might play too hard too fast. That could be interesting. Um, and yeah, we'll we'll see what happens. And another thing that's interesting is, it happens with almost every Big Brother Canada season. I'm not really sure why. It doesn't bother me too much, but it does bother other people. But it seems like there's some people in the cast that might already know each other. Kevin, uh, Kevin is, I think, a pretty big super fan. I don't know if he said that or if other people knew him from before. And a lot of people are speculating that he might know Kyle and or Jessica, because Jessica is also a big super fan, and I think she's been involved with uh, I don't know if it was just, Taryn's Twitch or if it was Rob has a podcast in general, but she's been somewhat involved with them. And Kyle, obviously, if you know the story about Kyle, any Big Brother Canada super fan will likely know who he is. So some people might know Kyle through there, and then Kyle and Moose also follow each other on Instagram. Pretty sure they went to the same university and either the same program or a similar program, and I think they were only 1 year apart, if I remember correctly. So there's a very good chance that they know each other as well. They'll at least have heard of each other because they follow each other on Instagram, but they might be friends. Who knows? Um, and yeah, let's just get into a couple. I'm gonna talk about four people that I think were the most interesting to me. Starting off with Kyle. I've been a huge Kyle Moore fan since last year. For anyone that doesn't know, when Kyle Moore from Big Brother Canada season 9 was added to the cast, sorry, when he was added to the cast, he was replacing someone else. And at first we didn't know who Kyle Moore was because all he did was put up his name and picture. So Twitter being Twitter, they found a Kyle Moore who's from Canada and honestly looked pretty similar to the other Kyle Moore. And everyone, myself included, thought this was the guy being on the show. And he seemed like just like a really cool guy. I was really happy with thinking that he'd be on the show. He has a mental health podcast. He talks about a lot of good things. He's funny, he's charismatic. So it was all good things and we were all excited to see him. And then we realized very quickly that, it wasn't actually this Kyle Moore. But he woke up the next morning. He thought it was hilarious, the entire mix up, and he said he was going to apply to Big Brother Canada season 10. And that brings us to now, and he's been cast on the show. A lot of fans are really excited. I'm really excited. I've been following him along, this entire year, like I listened to a couple of episodes of his podcast. I follow him on Instagram. I won a giveaway. He gave me $10, so he's the only one on the entire cast that gave me money. So I'm automatically rooting for him. But yeah, I think he's charismatic enough to have a good social game. I think he's definitely a smart guy. He's been talking with a lot of, the Big Brother community, like people from Rob has a podcast. He's been talking with the other Kyle Moore, obviously. He's been talking with the Rohan from last year. So I think he's been coached. He's pretty seems pretty capable himself. So I think he'll do well. I'm worried that he might have too much of a target if someone does know him and instead of, making an alliance with him, they come after him instead. That could be an issue. And it also could be maybe, it takes a certain level of skill to manage different relationships, especially when you're not in power. So we'll see. You know, knowing what to do and actually doing it is two different things. So we'll see if Kyle can pull that off. Obviously, I'm rooting for him, and let's hope he does well. The only other person that really stood out to me was Josh, and I thought Josh has everything. He's very smart. He's obviously a doctor. He seems well socially. He seems like a very smart guy. I think he'll make a lot of relationships. Um, there's no flaw that I can see in him. Again, it's only like 2-minute video, so there's not much to go off of. But it seems like you know he has all the tools. He knows how. He claims he knows how to play the game. Like he laid out a strategy which was really good. Have a big alliance in the pre-merge, and then, sorry, pre-jury. This is not Survivor. Have a big alliance in pre-jury, and once jury hits, then start to branch out and kind of turn on them. Makes sense on paper. Again, same thing with Kyle. Knowing what to do and actually doing it are two different things. We'll see what happens with that, but I think he has all the tools to go far in this game. The only thing that might hold him back is if other people see that he's, pretty much perfect as well and realize that they need to get him out sooner rather than later. That might be the only hurdle. And then going on to the next person that I really enjoyed, Haleena, she's brown, I'm brown, automatically rooting for her. But she just seemed like a really nice person. She seemed like an entertaining, character. She seemed like pleasant to be around, even though again, only 2 minutes. So I don't know if I should be making that conclusion, but she did seem like someone who you could be friends with, which is definitely very important in terms of going far and avoiding, going out the first few weeks. So I think she will go far. I don't know how she will be game wise. I don't think she talked about her strategy much in her intro, but I think even outside of that, I think she seemed like a good person to be around. Obviously not an idiot, but so I think at the very least she'll make it far, even if she's not the best player strategically. But I hope she is. And she's a master's student, so she's definitely not. She definitely is smart. And then the last person I want to talk about that I really enjoyed, similar to Helena, in that I just overall loved their vibe, was Tynesha. I thought her vibe was great. She seemed really fun to be around. She seemed charismatic. She was entertaining. I liked her story. I think that's definitely someone I'm rooting for, and I hope she goes far. And similar to Helena, she didn't talk about her strategy much, but she did say that she watches Big Brother Canada a lot with her daughter. So hopefully, she knows what to do and what not to do, and that helps her go far. Um, yeah, not a lot to talk about based on just those 2 minutes. Keep saying it, but that's all we have. So, and those written bios, but that doesn't really tell us anything. But yeah, those four are who I'm really rooting for. Kyle, Josh, top two, and then Helena and Tynesha as well. Really like their vibes. Hopefully they go far. And then one guy that, I didn't like his vibe. I think I saw some people on Twitter did because he could cause a lot of chaos. Was Kevin? I thought he reminded me a lot of Ryan, Big Brother Canada 6, but I guess like more energetic or something, or more intentional in what he does. Like he's trying to be a villain. I don't know if that'll work out. It seems like he might be trying too hard. I don't know I don't know if it'll work for him. And he just seems, he seems a little bit sketchy just the way he talks. So I think even if he does try to cause some chaos, people might be onto him. But, the other thing that is very common is that people play up these personalities and these archetypes just to get cast. So he might just be smart enough to know that saying this will get him cast, and then he might play, a more I guess, traditional game when he gets inside the house. So, I could be wrong, but to me, he seemed like someone who's going to be trying way too hard, both to be a character and trying hard in the game. And I don't think I don't know, I don't think it'll work out for him. Again, could be wrong. We'll see what happens. And finally, just some other thoughts that about the season, what I'm looking forward to. Um, it's a 16-person cast, which I was a little bit worried about because I think 14 is the sweet spot. Obviously there have been good seasons with 16, but I think 14 is just it's just better. There's not too many people. You get to know each person, well, and also it makes it so like the end game doesn't stretch on too long. I feel like by the time you get to like 6, 7 votes in, most of the house is settled, and the people that are in power usually stay in power the rest of the way. So 6, 7 weeks in a 14-person cast means there's only another, like, 6, 7 weeks left, but in a 16-person cast, that means there's, like, 10 long weeks left in, the late jury, and that can a lot of times it can drag on. So, but it's still a 69-day season like last year, so I think that even though it is 16, it shouldn't slow down the pace too much. But that also means that there could be a triple eviction this year, and pretty much no one is a fan of those. I think that they can work, but they just put them in too late. I think final seven is, it's too important of a week to get rid of, two people in one vote, um, especially the way they do it. So if they do it earlier on, maybe like the first jurors are part of the triple, so that would be like what, like a week 6? I think that could work a lot better, especially since there's a lot more votes. If you do in final 7, there's 3 votes, and, that's 3 votes to decide 2 people going home. That's not the best. So if they do it earlier on, I think it could be okay. I just hope that if they have brought back the triple, please don't do it at final 7. And then what else is there? They didn't release the full house tour. They're doing it on the day of, which is weird, and I don't think that ever happens. I wonder why that is. They originally said it was gonna be on the 28th, but they pushed it to this March 2nd. But they did drop 3 pictures, and it's a game show theme, which I think is interesting. It's definitely could have a lot of good twists related to it. You could really, buy into the theme and have, you know, make create an entire season revolving around that theme. So I think that could be really interesting. I thought the house itself looked okay. It was like all black and glossy, which was good. Would be good for like 1 or 2 rooms, but I feel like for the entire house that could be a little too much. But all we saw was 3 pictures, and then one of those pictures was a secret room with a telephone on it, and that had a lot of people talking. No one knows what it's gonna be. The picture was just captioned with 3 exclamation marks, and it was on top of a pillar of exclamation marks. So a lot of people were saying it reminded them of the first HOH in Big Brother Canada season 1, where Suzette picked up the phone and then she instantly had to make the nominations. For me personally, it reminded me more of, season 3, where they had the thing in the have not room that shot up from the floor, and it was like the coup d'etat that Britney won. It reminded me more of that. So I think, but, it's probably gonna be something new. I know it is season 10, so they might do some callbacks, but I don't think they would repeat something exactly. They might pay homage to it, but I don't think they would repeat it exactly. And the one other thing that I was thinking was that maybe the question marks, on the pillar that the phone is seated on, maybe it's some sort of like anonymous power or anonymous vote where either everyone comes in and gives an anonymous vote, or maybe it's just, a secret power, and whoever wins it goes into that room. Maybe they make an anonymous third nominee, or some sort of hidden power. I think maybe that's what it could be. I'm not sure. It's not a lot to go off of. And we do know that Big Brother Canada loves their twists, so let's just hope it's not too overpowered. If it as long as it's not too overpowered, I'll be happy with whatever it is. And yeah, I just hope we're in for a good season. 9 was good. Almost every season of Big Brother Canada is good. I love it. It's so much better than the US version. I think 7 is the only season that I didn't enjoy. 4 was a little bit weaker, but I think overall it was still, a good season. So, they're batting what, like 8 for 9, or I guess 7 for 8 if you don't wanna count season 8. Let's hope they continue that trend and we get another good season out of it. And I think this pretty much wraps up our first episode here. If you listened, thank you so much. If you made it to the end, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at the bite sized pod. I would really appreciate a follow. And just let me know your thoughts, or if you listened, what are you excited for about the season? Who are you rooting for the most? And if there's any house guests that you want to hear my thoughts on that I didn't talk about in here, just let me know and I'll give you my thoughts on them on Twitter. And that's about it for today. And have a good day, night, morning, whatever it is for you guys when you're listening. And take care.